Welcome to the Low Stakes Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Avgaris. I'm here with my co-host, Dave Lodwig, and the guy on the ones and twos, producer Nate Cross, the coolest name in podcasting by far. We are just a bunch of middle-aged dads, and we got something to say, and maybe you got something to hear from that, so you can take away from it. But why are we doing this, guys? Why are we wasting our time? We're all busy. Why are we doing this?
Because this is what we already do.
Yeah.
Like we like for all the middle-aged dads sitting around out there who somehow tuned into this, you're going to realize that, oh, this is exactly what I do on the weekends when I'm sitting at a barbecue with my friends. Mm-hmm. We're doing this simply to give a voice and a shine a spotlight on what we already do as dads. We're normal. We're not celebrities. We don't have vested interests in popular culture, or, we're not influencers. We're just normal guys talking about normal things without a lot of stakes on it. Not a lot of discussion on the Straits of Hormuz here, or the way it impacts our gas prices right now. Mm-hmm. This is literally low stake conversation.
Yeah, if you want the geopolitics of the Iranian conflict, that's probably not for us. But the fun part about us is three guys. We're all middle-aged dads, but we're all kind of in different spots, the same spots. Nate's a young guy, young family.
I was going to say early middle-aged.
You're not middle-aged. What are you, 19? Jeff and I'm the old man at the table.
You're definitely the old man.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it.
I know.
I'm not too far behind you, though.
It's absolutely true. But, this is what our wives a lot of times ask us, like, what are you guys talking about? And the truth is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? When we sit around and talk, or Jeff and I will text all the time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what are you texting about? And I'm always like at a gap where I can't help her understand that we're talking about nothing.
Yep.
Nothing of ultimate consequence. Mm-hmm. And I think I know for my wife, it drives her insane because she's always dealing with things in her mind that have, eternal consequence. And we're just talking about things that really don't matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, like this weekend, for example, my biggest stress was, what am I going to do with my pellet smoker? Like, I love to barbecue. Real. If you go out on my deck, I got a pellet smoker, I've got a gas grill, I've got a birch barrel. Shout out Bozeman, Montana, birch barrel. I've got a second gas grill. I've got my Blackstone. And this is on my deck. And I have a Traeger. I hate the Traeger. Originally, Traegers were awesome. They've been sold like 3 times. They're a Chinese company now. They're kind of tinny, but they're super expensive. So anyways, that was the big stress in my life this weekend. So we go down to Shields, not sponsored. It could be. And we check out these smokers. And like my wife's like, why are you dragging me to do this? It's like, this is a guy stuff, This is just what we do. It's all about simple stuff like that,
Yeah, I mean, we look around in our backyards, and like yesterday, I was taking the tarp off of our fire pit, and my wife gets all stressed out about it because we have this gigantic 6-month-old Newfoundland puppy right now who just eats rocks. Like, that's his hobby. And so I'm down taking a tarp. We had tarped over our fire pit because it's all gravel. So I'm taking it off, and my wife's like, don't do that. He's going to eat the rocks. And I'm like, well, what if we want to make s'mores? It's sunny out. It's time to move forward. There's a disconnect between the way us as dads and sort of middle-aged men think and the way our wives think. They are perpetually in flight or fight mode. and the whole world is coming to an end. Yes. Where it's labor for us to get up off our couch or our easy chairs, once we've decided we've reached the point in the day where that's where we're going to be.
Yeah, we're vested in the simplest things, right? Oh, yeah. I mean, sure, do I scroll Twitter for what's going on in Iran? Sure. Do I watch a little bit of news? Yeah, I'm informed. But really what matters to me doesn't matter. It's the stuff that doesn't matter that matters, right? I mean...
Well, it's part of it. It's what makes guys. Bill Burr talks about this, which it's always great, where he talks about his wife. She's always irritated with him when he watches football because he's just happy. because he's not thinking about anything else. He's just thinking. He'll yell at the watching. He's a Patriots fan. He'll yell at the screen watching the Patriots do what they do. But
you better not watch the Red Sox.
Yeah. Well,
different field. He's
a Boston boy. But then his wife will just get so upset with him because she's angry because she can't do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She can't just sit there and just turn her brain off and watch a football game for 3 hours. And
fun little exercise. Think about nothing.
Done.
And I saw it on both your faces. You just did.
Yeah.
Do that with your wife.
Oh yeah.
It will not happen. And she'll be like, how do you do that? You can't think about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you.
I did.
I'll tell you the hardest thing. I don't know if you guys still take your wives out on dates, out to dinner, just the two of you, whatnot. But when my wife Heather and I do that, we have a ground rule where we're not allowed to talk about the kids, the calendar, or like chores.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll sit there and we don't know what to talk about.
Yep.
Because your life is so consumed, particularly our wives.
Grills. That's
Pellet grills, yeah. Not
and then her eyes glaze over, and it's
her eyes glaze over.
I lost you.
It makes me sympathize with our wives out there because, man, they can't exist in that nothing space that we often exist in that creates podcasts like this because their brain is just always going. It's just like we don't have conversations. We have staff meetings, and it's always what is happening next. Where do the kids need to be? Who's at what? It's just a check-in every single day, and then you get to the end of the day, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and you can finally turn a TV show on, and there's no conversation.
You guys ever had this happen where you're sitting in your house? Maybe it's not Sunday morning, but say it's Saturday morning, and your wife's sitting there, and you're just doing nothing. You're watching TV, you're doing whatever, and all of a sudden she's like, "We should make our grocery list for the week." I'm like, you got to warm me up to stuff like that. You know what I mean? I can't just start thinking about Thursday's dinner on Saturday morning.
That's one of the big ones is, hey, what do you want to have for dinner this week? I don't know.
Why are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I know. It's 7:30 in the morning on Saturday, and you're talking about Friday night's dinner.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't even know what I want for dinner tonight.
Yeah. Well, now I'm hungry.
We got to go to Costco. Yeah. We got to go to Costco.
My problem is that I could have the same thing for dinner every single night of the week and be totally fine. And as long as, it's smoked meat or something like that. And, we got to have variety. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I'm okay.
Do we?
It's like, well, what do you want for dinner on Friday? Well, why don't we do, steaks on the grill? Well, we did steaks on the grill last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want? Well, that's why I asked you.
Yeah. I want steaks on the grill. That's what I want.
My wife, every once in a while, she'll pull out just an absolute gem of like a meme or something like that. And she pulled one out this last week, and it said being an adult is about deciding how you want to cook beef or chicken every day for the rest of your life. And that is so true.
That is true.
And you'll try to throw a variety in there. Like, well, let's have fish one night, and then you eat the fish. You're like, we should have had beef or chicken.
Yes, 100%
for chicken.
I made the other day. I tried to make a really fancy fish for dinner, and it was like whole fish. I did the X pattern on the sides. I had it on the grill, and I was so excited. And I went to go flip those things, and the entire fillet just peeled off the side, fell into the grill, and I was like, I should have done chicken.
Yeah, you should have. What'd you learn?
I learned never do fish.
Yeah.
Fish is bad.
The hardest is not the meat. Like, I can take care of the meat. The hardest for any meal planning is what do you eat with the meat? You know what I mean? Either you're just going to eat a vegetable, which is fairly easy, or else it's going to be a complicated dish, right? So that's like the stress for me of it. It's like, she usually, thankfully for my wife, is like, all right, what do you want to have for dinner this week? I'm like, well, give me couple packs of chicken. I'll take out some steak, and maybe we'll throw some pork chops in there or something like that. And then it's like, and the rest is up to you because I'm not going any farther than that. Give me some corn. I like corn.
Corn. You can throw it on the smoker.
Potatoes.
Yeah. Potatoes. it's just some random starch to soak up the grease of the meat.
That's right.
So, you talked about your smoker, and we had a glorious weekend here in Missoula, Montana, of just absolutely perfect weather, which means it's officially barbecue season. Not that barbecue season ever actually has a close to it. We're still grilling in the middle of January, but with it being sort of barbecue season and the name of the show being a double entendre, we're talking about low stakes things, but the stakes also refers to meats.
Let me get my phone and Google entendre.
Oh my gosh.
That was a $4 word right there.
It was. I have a master's degree, jerks.
We're just gonna have our fourth guest is actually gonna be an AI to translate Dave.
Exactly. We have Dave's virtual assistant to dumb the things he says down for his co-host and audience.
Try that again, but pretend I'm 5.
Yeah, exactly. It has a double meaning. So, knowing it's barbecue season, what are our go-to meats that we're throwing on the grill? I know you're going through your smoker dilemma. Yeah. I have a Pit Boss. Yep. It's a dual one. I've got a pellet smoker and gas grill combo unit, which is great. Mm-hmm. What are we going to be barbecuing, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I do chicken thighs at least once a week, every week, like clockwork, sometimes twice a week when it gets to be summertime. Brisket once a month. That's always a go-to. I got ribs, pork ribs, usually spare ribs that I'll do a couple times a month. And then steaks go to the gas grill. So do some steaks, sear them quick, cook them quick, seared, and off the grill they go. And my wife's a very simple person. She loves hamburgers and hot dogs. So we usually, at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, it's hamburgers or hot dogs. Usually fills out the summer. I'd like to say that we eat fish more, but we don't. That's just not our thing.
My wife is not into any of the red fish. So trout, salmons, that sort of thing. So we'll occasionally have like tilapia, halibut, something like that, but we eat very little fish as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually old school. I do not have a smoker, and I only have a charcoal grill. But I've gotten into the habit of doing some smokes on the charcoal grill, creating like the snake pattern with your charcoal and adding in some like mesquite or something into it, and that's really awesome. My go-to has been lamb. Getting a lamb leg or something like that, and doing like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour long cook with that.
Interesting.
That is good. But yeah, we're largely pretty similar. We do almost exclusively wild game. So lots of elk, lots of deer. But every now and then I will go by, or sometimes folks will give it to us. A good, nice marbled T-bone or something along those lines, because as much as I love wild game, there's nothing that's going to replace just nice thick beef steak.
No.
But we do a lot of hot dogs as well. We like to do that, and same thing, we're kind of simple people. It's like one meat and one starch, and that's all we do, and just keep life easy and simple. Maybe we'll do a fancy sauce or something to kind of spice things up. But for the most part, it's steaks, it's hot dogs here and there. And we've been getting into some of the lamb, which has been super good.
Lamb is really good. Yeah, I forget we do have a lot of wild game too, because I hunt. You and I both hunt quite a bit. And the one thing that I get made is a lot of sausages. So we have a lot of German sausage and cheese in there and jalapeno and all that kind of stuff. So mix all that together. And so, we do quite a bit of that. I will say I like wild game, and it's why I hunt, and it's natural and it feels good to eat it. But I always tell everybody I'll trade my elk tag for a full beef any day of the year. I mean, it's like the beef is just so good.
Yeah, we get good beef. We get a half a cow every year, and out of a ranch over in Plains, Montana, and so there's a lot. You get a lot of burger out of that, and so probably at least once a week, we're grilling hamburgers. But then I have a lot of steaks. So I sear my steaks on the gas side, and then really quickly transfer them over to the pellet side, the smoker side, and get them to, usually around 145 degrees, not overcooked. I mean, I like a steak.
Snake's actually really good.
Snake's good.
Steak is good.
Oh yeah. No, I like a good steak, like a normal person, where it's pink in the middle. Certain members of my family like it absolutely butchered till it's gray, which is just enrages me every single time. Did you cook this all the way? Yeah, I did.
They're eating rubber is what they're eating.
Oh, it's just awful. I refuse to waste a ribeye or something in my freezer for certain members of my family. It's like,
you're getting top sirloin.
Yeah, exactly. Or, hey, I think I got a round steak in here.
Yeah.
It's going to taste the same regardless. But so we do a lot of steak. But one of my favorite go-tos, and I probably do it 3 to 4 times a year, is I smoke a turkey.
Yes.
Yeah. So I started doing turkeys. Oh man, maybe 15 years ago for Thanksgiving. I realized it's just the best way to do your turkey at Thanksgiving because it frees up your oven, right? You don't have you're not having to play the timing game with stuffing and all the rest of the stuff once you have the turkey out on a grill. And so I brine my turkey for 3 days, and then when I smoke it, I take a grapefruit and I microwave it, usually close to a minute, to a point where you can actually feel it bubbling under the skin, and then I shove it in the cavity.
I feel like there's a joke.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm bracing myself here.
I know. You have a scratch and sniff book that shows how I do it. But I shove it in there, and it actually helps it cook more thoroughly. And then I'll smoke it for 8 hours, depending on the size of it. But after Thanksgiving every year, usually Costco or other places will have their turkeys on clearance. They got to get them out of there. And so I'll buy like 3 turkeys and put them in my chest freezer. And later on in the year. And so literally last night, my wife and I were like, well, should we smoke up one of our turkeys we have? And say, yeah, I think in this next week I'm going to do another turkey.
Best part about turkeys, you can eat on it for like a week.
And that's what's great. You do it well, and it's got that great smoked flavor in it. And then you're eating sandwiches, and it's good. You have turkey hash, turkey chip cookies. Like, they're just the best. And you just keep rolling with them.
Totally.
Yeah. Probably 4 or 5 times a year, we'll do a Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah.
Just not on Thanksgiving. We'll do the casseroles, and we'll get the sweet potatoes and do a turkey. And cause it's just a good meal.
Well, yeah.
We've gotten into this last year. I got 4 wild turkeys.
Oh, wow.
And that was awesome to have those. But I did find out you got to really tend those carefully when you're cooking them. Otherwise, you're going to have some pretty nasty rubber off the smoker there.
I hit this one with my car, but let's see what we can get out of it.
I just had this conversation, not to switch this into a hunting discussion, but I had this conversation with a gentleman, a friend whose daughter's on the same cheer team as my daughter, and he's a big hunter, and so he hunts for turkeys in the spring. And as hunters, you realize there's two types of hunters. There's people that think hunting turkeys is like a light version of hunting elk. And then there's people that absolutely don't hunt turkeys. They think it's stupid and it's a waste of time. And they usually hunt bear in the spring. Well, this gentleman, he's a really good dude, but he loves hunting turkeys. He loves calling them in. He loves the whole process of it. I was like, the problem I have with it is I grew up in Oregon, and turkeys are like a pest in Oregon. They're everywhere. They like raid everything. You can just walk out on your back porch and shoot one. So it's like, if that was the same way, if elk was like that, I wouldn't like hunting elk either, because they're like, okay, I can just walk on my back porch and shoot one. Elk are too smart. They just don't do that. Turkeys are stupid. They are the dumbest animal next to cows out in the wild.
They're stupid outside of the season.
Well,
no, I've heard stories of like turkeys looking up in a rainstorm and drowning. Like they are.
I don't know. Every
time a turkey is killed is an act of mercy, because They contribute nothing to the ecosystem.
The first time you go out to hunt turkeys and you get outsmarted by a turkey, that'll really humble you.
Oh, man.
It makes you feel so dumb.
Oh, man. Yeah. And on top of that, you have to be careful how you cook them. It's not butterball, you kind of got to take care of them the right way and then cook them the right way. They're usually like significantly smaller than one that is raised.
Oh yeah, they're not getting those GMOs.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is a good thing, but I just don't. It's just not my thing. But
let's go back. So, what was the solution to your patio cookware dilemma?
Well, what was the problem?
Wait a second. So you're dissatisfied with your
something's wrong, but we don't know what's wrong.
That we won't mention again for fear of legal rights. And then you have a griddle and a gas grill, and
my problem is
like a stocks and a pillory out there as well, or what else do you have?
My problem is that I get bored, and so that's part of it. A part of it is this Ager with a T. It's supposed to like go to a high temperature. Well, unless it's completely clean in it, it like catches on fire.
Yeah.
It's really moody, which I don't like stuff that I buy via moody. Like it won't.
We're still talking about the smokers, right?
My grill's feeling a little melancholy today. It has seasonal affective disorder, so we're just going to go ahead and make pancakes on the Blackstone.
That's right. So it doesn't hold. The biggest problem I have with Traeger is it used to be like 1/4-inch thick steel. When you lifted the lid, like you had to put your arm into it a little bit. Now it's like tinny. It's like sheet metal. It doesn't hold heat. We live in Montana. Sure, maybe if you're in Arizona or Texas, they're fine. But in Montana, when it's 10 degrees outside, you're just burning through pellets trying to keep the temperature up. So I'm looking at going to what Traeger was 15 years ago and find a company that is, kind of new, upcoming. They invest more in their stuff. They're stronger. I think I found the one I want. I know I found the one I want. It's a good company, but it's Yoder Grills. They make really good grills. It's all real steel. But I just need
also not a sponsor.
Not, but could be. But I just need something better. It just makes me mad. And like the customer service for Traeger, I caught it on fire one time and I called them and was like, send me something different. This thing's terrible. And they're like, nah, you own it. And that's really what their attitude was. The customer service sucks. So I just need to get away from Traeger. I just got a bad taste in my mouth. I've had a Traeger for, like I say, it's probably been 2013, 12, 13, 14, when first time I got mine. So I've had one for almost 15 years. It's just time for something different. So
this whole story and everything you're talking to us about is a testimony to the reality of this podcast because you had to make a problem.
Oh, yeah.
You had to invent a problem.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
In order to waste time investigating the type of product you want to replace a previous product with.
Yep.
And so, like, again, when our wives ask us, what are you doing? As you're just sitting there watching TV and scrolling with your phone, it's like, well, I have to figure out which kind of smoker.
I'm researching.
I'm researching.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be an informed consumer.
Yeah.
And do you know when it's all worth it? You know when all that comes together and it's all worth it? When you have that thing sitting out on your deck and your buddy comes over and he walks out and he's like, that thing is sweet. Where did you get that? That thing is awesome. You're like, yeah, I found it. It's all worth it then, right?
Because if you can't do good, at least you got to look good.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
The truest value in my cookware is determined by the view it has in my close friends.
That's right. The social effect. That's totally right. Yeah.
That is literally us turning into our dads.
Yeah, it is.
That is exactly it. You know,
is it what insurance company? We can't stop you from turning into your parents.
Yeah.
Oh man, I used to watch those as a 21-year-old, and I was like, oh, those are kind of funny, but that won't ever happen to me. Now I'm watching them. I've got kids, and I'm like, it's happened to me. I am turning into my dad. There are so many things where I'm just like, oh man.
No exaggeration. Late last week, my daughter comes home from school and she walks in, and the first thing she says to me, she's like, Dad, your lawn looks really good. I was like, does it? She's like, it's super green. She's like, why does it look greener than the neighbors? Well, genetics, you know? But I mean, that's the dad thing.
Oh,
right?
it is.
You know what I mean? Pride in the lawn. Pride
I
in the
did not
house.
realize like how much of a desire I would have to go to war with dandelions.
Oh, man.
But man, I love it. It is awesome.
Yep.
The dandelion issue around here, that's the real struggle in life.
Yes.
Like it's your neighbors, if they don't take care of them and they go to seed and it just blows everywhere. It's the worst, and I live up here in the South Hills of Missoula, and it's just dandelion season. I spent a couple hours working on my lawn yesterday. My backyard's like a half acre, and I've got one of those grandpa weed pullers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? The stick with the claw on it. And I probably could pull 1,000 dandelions a day and it wouldn't solve the issue.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm nervous about weed and feed. I use it. But you got animals and you're like, oh yeah, what kind of effect does this have on them? And all that. Yeah.
I use Trimec.
Yeah.
Also not a sponsor.
But could be.
Could be. Yeah, Trimec is the best thing. It's a one-time, put it on your lawn, keep your dogs off of it for about an hour until it dries up, and it kills all the dandelions and nothing else. Actually, it kills all broadleaf, so it'll kill,
Do you know
crabgrass,
what its active ingredient is?
I do. It's not good for you.
Okay. Perfect. Love it. I just tried a new one.
Compound that escaped from an underground facility.
Yeah. I just tried a new one that's iron based. So you're not going to drink the stuff, but it's not going to cause harm if you walk on it. It is red, so definitely let it dry before your dogs go out into it. But it worked. I was shocked. I did one treatment and like all the dandelions died.
No.
I was kind of surprised because I'm the same way. I don't really love the idea of glyphosate derivatives on my lawn when I've got kids and dogs, and it's not awesome. And so I've been trying to find kind of like the natural alternatives. I've got a great one for Roundup. Like if I just want to kill something, I've got a good option for that. But I could never find anything that worked for the lawn that didn't include some of those nasty chemicals until this one. I cannot remember the name of it. Also not a sponsor. What's that?
Ironite?
No. It's like lawn weed brew or something like that. I got it at Ace Hardware actually. But yeah, that actually worked. I was shocked because I was the guy who was pulling weeds. And like you said, I was pulling hundreds of weeds a day and I just couldn't keep up. Because not only would I miss some, if they hadn't gotten to flower yet, you don't notice them, but then also, like you say, blows in from the neighbor, or what have you. And so I finally I got to find a spray that's going to actually work. And I tried this one and it legit worked. It did stain things red for a little bit. So it kind of was like a bit scary because I was like, oh my goodness, what did I just do to my lawn? Then it worked great. And it's supposed to be, safe-ish for kids and dogs and stuff like that.
I think nothing gets you, like I love all my neighbors, but nothing gets you going in and talking to your wife and being like, have you seen Mike's lawn? Like,
yes.
Is he going to do something about that? Because I got to deal with it on my side. You know what I mean?
Spillover.
Yeah.
Nothing pisses me off more than people are like, well, dandelions are pretty.
Yeah. Or they help the bees.
Like, it's a noxious weed.
Yeah.
It's a noxious. I don't want a speckled lawn.
Nope.
I don't mind them so much. I hate the judgment that comes to me when I have them in my yard. Like, honestly, I'm the guy that probably would just be like, I'm too lazy to care about those. If I lived with no one in a 10-mile radius, I'd probably have 100 million dandelions in my yard because I'd just be like, whatever. I got other things to take. I got to go smoke some meats. But because I live in a neighborhood and I know my neighbors are judging me.
Oh yeah, we are.
I'm like, I gotta get rid of these things. I cannot let them live.
I'll tell you, my motivation was yesterday. I'm looking around, just being irritated by the dandelions I have in there. Number one, I don't cut my lawn very short. That's one of the ways you can help control your dandelions is the longer your lawn is, well groomed and whatnot. The more direct sunlight they get, the faster they sprout. So I try to leave it a little bit higher, usually like 3.5 inches. And that's such a dad thing to say right there.
That seems oddly specific.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you measure your lawn?
You don't? But my stress was, and going back to what you guys are saying, is we're a host family for our local minor league baseball team, the Paddleheads, and our player is arriving from Arizona on Friday to live with us. And so it's like, I can't have him showing up and seeing dandelions in my front lawn. I mean, what's he going to think about me? Which is the classic middle-aged man's logic, right?
Yeah.
Because the truth is he could probably care less.
Yeah. It's not just logic. There's definitely people out there judging. Like it's happening.
Oh yeah. When we moved into our first house, and when we got there, it was, I mean, wall to wall dandelions. It was awful, and I wanted to seed because there wasn't a ton of grass, and so I didn't want to use any sprays or chemicals or anything like that because that can mess up your seeding. And so we went and we picked. I'm not even kidding. We picked thousands of dandelions. And weeded the entire yard. We started in the backyard because we had dogs, and so we wanted them to be able to go around. And we got to the front yard second. In the week or so where we were outside every day picking hundreds of dandelions a day, someone left a note on our door that said, "Your dandelions are a disgrace to the neighborhood."
Wow.
We had been there for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And like we were outside every day working on it. So it's not like people driving by didn't see us out there trying our very best to accomplish something.
It wasn't a neighborhood mom, I can tell you that. It was
man,
another dad like one of us here. It was like,
well, my wife and I, we go back and forth on this. I think I know who it is. She thinks she knows who it was. There was a gal who attended one of our HOA meetings that bragged about picking up her neighbor's dog poop that was in her own yard. So, I mean, all right, there's some issues there. Picked it up and placed it neatly on her front doorstep. And I'm like, that's the person who left the note on our door.
Was her name Karen?
No.
She asked to speak with your manager.
She was the HOA manager for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it checks out. Checks out.
Yeah, she's also going to run her retirement community in Florida sometime in the future. Anybody watch the Kentucky Derby this weekend?
That was this weekend?
Nope.
152nd running of the Kentucky Derby.
Ooh.
You're a big deal in a small town.
Yeah.
When you get asked to do things out of the blue that are of note. And so 2 weeks ago, I was called randomly and asked by the Missoula Insectarium and the Butterfly House, which is just right over here down the street from us. And they did a fundraiser for $30 a ticket. They did their Kentucky Derby celebration party where they had their own races, where they raced Madagascar hissing cockroaches in a track, and they asked me to announce the races.
I don't know if that qualifies for something of note.
No, it is. You know why I know it was of note is because the local news was there with a camera on my face while I'm screaming out who's in the lead amongst 6 giant cockroaches. It was one of the strangest things I've ever done.
Oof.
It was hilarious, creepy. Hey, do you want to touch the roach? No. And we're
not even a little bit.
We're a bow tie. Everybody was wearing like big fancy hats. It was a unique experience. I got to drink a mint julep.
Yes.
This might have to be a segment of only in Missoula.
Yeah.
That's exactly,
Because that could only happen in Missoula.
that is exactly how someone described it there. Is actually the director of the Insectarium. We were talking about it and kind of laughing at the absurdity of it all. And he goes, this is such a Missoula thing.
Yes.
And it totally is. If you're listening and you're not a resident of Missoula, Montana, understand that Missoula is one of those quirky college towns that believes in keeping it weird. Like there's always the series of, keep fill in the blank weird.
Yeah.
And it's always a college town like Austin or Eugene or Missoula. And Missoula takes pride in doing odd things.
Literally.
Yeah.
We should broaden it to only in Montana because, I can think about 40 things in Butte that we could have in that segment as well.
I don't know that we need to talk about Butte.
Oh, yeah. Butte, America? Are you kidding me? It's a beautiful area. Go there, don't drink the water. But outside of that, I mean.
Every time I drive through Butte, I just look at that town. I'm like, it's actually a really pretty area.
It is cool.
As you're coming up into the Continental Divide. But there's just a generational depression in that town.
Yes.
My apologies to anybody that lives in Butte. I understand it's probably not your fault. And, if you need help, we can help you relocate. There are people willing. No, I'm just kidding. But to all the Butte folk over there, it's just like their claim to fame is a toxic pit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it can be seen from space.
So it'll be seen from
and
space.
The oldest Chinese restaurant in the United States, and it's closing down. That's their claim to fame.
Really?
Yep. Their claim to fame is they're the oldest Chinese restaurant in the United States. And they just announced last week, I think, that they're closing down. Peking Chinese food, something like that.
When are they closing down? I'm going to have to go eat there.
I know. That's what I thought. I've been wanting to for a while.
I would think it'd be like San Francisco or somewhere in California would be the oldest.
That would be your logic, but I don't know if it was because they brought workers in to work in the mines, so it was real. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure they have some sort of story behind it.
They kidnapped some sort of Chinese princess and like that Jackie Chan movie.
I was going to say, this sounds really familiar.
Yeah. Forced her to make Peking duck or something like that.
It's funny while we're sitting here, not to sidetrack the conversation, but how your watch buzzes, you get an update. Mine is Britney Spears learns fate after DUI arrest. So, we're living in 2026 here. It's a great world.
My
talk about algorithms.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not get that update.
You didn't get that one?
No.
I'll hit me, baby, one more time, huh?
Remember 98 when she was in that music video and just that when she just exploded.
Yeah.
My friend Greg, who's the best man in my wedding, he did the greatest thing ever where he found pictures of Britney Spears in magazines. He cut them out and put them in picture frames and told everybody that was his girlfriend. He had pictures of her, little ones, in little 3x5 picture frames all through his place. And I was just like, awesome. I remember the first time I walked through, I'm like, who is that? And he's like, oh, we've been dating. And I finally realized that's Britney Spears. Oh, good for you.
That's pretty good. So we talk obviously before the podcast, and this will be kind of a hard transition, but obviously we have a unique date that's going on today, May the 4th. And as everybody knows, May the 4th be with you. It's a Star Wars thing. How do you guys feel about May the 4th? Is this geeky? Is it nerdy? Or is this cool? What do you think?
Well, you got to define your terms because there's a big difference between a nerd and a geek.
Yeah.
And I feel like Dave is teeing up to go off on this.
Who thinks there's a difference between nerds and geeks? Nerds and geeks.
So do you disagree with me?
I think if you were to go to Comic-Con in San Diego and ask, okay, now who here identifies as a nerd and who here is a geek? Have you guys ever seen the old Conan O'Brien segment where he sends Triumph the Insult Comic Dog to the premiere of Attack of the Clones in New York City?
No.
Oh my gosh. I was watching it on the treadmill, I think on Saturday, and it's like 10 minutes long. And do you guys know who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is? It's the puppet. Robert Smigel does him. And this was back. This was in 2002. And he's there interviewing and insulting all of the people waiting in line to go to Attack of the Clones. And there's a guy that shows up in a just top-notch Darth Vader costume and approaches Triumph while he's talking, and Triumph's like, wow. Now, which one of these buttons on your chest calls your parents to come pick you up? Now, understand, I'm like, out of the three of us, I'm probably the biggest Star Wars nerd of all time. Out of the three of us, you know, I've seen every Star Wars movie in the theater. You know, that's how old I am. I saw the original. I was like 2.5, going into 3 years old when the original Star Wars, before it was even called A New Hope, came out in 1977. And I saw it repeatedly when I was a toddler because, you know, back then it played in the theater for more than a year.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, my parents would take me. I was transfixed by it when it first came out, you know, and a year later I was still transfixed by it. And I remember as a little kid, around 5 years old, when Empire Strikes Back came out, and we were living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and my grandparents came to visit us, and my grandpa and dad took me to the theater to go see the new Star Wars movie, and I freaked out at 5 years old because I couldn't read very well, and I just saw the text coming down the screen, and I was like, "No, they're showing the last one." And I was like freaking out in the theater, and they had to like settle me down and explain to me, no, it's different words than the last one. And but yeah, I remember seeing every single one of them in the theater, and I'll do the same one with the next one coming up here, the Mandalorian movie. But I think today it's a goofy, fun deal. I think that Disney has got to love it because it ups the marketability of their product. But yeah, May the 4th.
They've been pushing it on Disney for the last couple weeks. If you log into Disney Plus, the intro thing is a whole Star Wars deal, and every single recommendation everywhere, even if you've never watched Star Wars, is all Star Wars. Like every watch next or like popular this week or whatever, it's all Star Wars. They're definitely pushing it.
They are. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I've noticed that younger people think it's like super younger people think it's geekier than us old guys. I mean, anything that promotes Star Wars, I think is awesome, you know?
You know, I think people come back, they go through waves with it. It's such a cultural touch point for people. I remember, you know, I still have a lot of my original Star Wars toys, but those went into boxes by the time I hit like middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I was in college that I really sort of re-up my love for Star Wars when I think it was 1995, 96 in there where they started releasing new Star Wars toys again, right before the re-release of the original trilogy when they made special editions of them. And
which are terrible, by the way.
Yeah, yes.
You mean you don't like Jabba the Hutt? Like,
No.
Han, my Wookiee.
There were some cool additions in there, I thought, but all in all, it was a cash grab.
It
was. And I remember because, you know, it was just like it was back in the 70s and 80s where people were lined up around the movie theater to get in to see these films again, which they'd probably already seen on VHS tapes 150 times before. But anyway, you know, so I wandered away and then came back to Star Wars, because that was during my college years when all that happened. Well, I'm seeing it in my son right now who loves Star Wars when he was younger. And then all the toys got boxed up probably 5 years ago. And there's a massive amount of Star Wars toys out in my garage and in a closet in my house. And they started coming out again the last couple of weeks because we've been like, well, we have a garage sale coming up. Maybe we can sell some of these. And my son was like, let me see those.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, what's that? You know, and he's a junior in high school. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah. So I think Star Wars is always one of those things where it's no matter how hard they tried to do it differently, it ultimately was always based on the appeal it has to 10-year-old boys. And so every once in a while, the 10-year-old boy in us comes back out and is like, oh, I want to watch this again. I want to watch laser swords and explosions and just this incredible universe that George Lucas created.
The challenge I think Star Wars has for the next generation, and it's always going to be popular. It'll go generations. But when it came out in the 80s, 70s and 80s, it was like mind blowing. Like the special effects were like, wow, what's going on here? And the story and the fantasy of it. And they really, the original, a lot of people don't really grasp this, but the original movie and the promo for it was like, this is happening somewhere in the galaxy. Right. And, but all that stuff with the way technology is advanced and special effects and everything, I think it's watered down the wow factor of all that. Like you could never explain how they got a lightsaber to come out of it, and have the actual lightsaber portion of it. I mean, it was just like, wow, that's cool how they're doing that and having the fights and everything. But now it would be like, I can probably create that in 10 minutes or 10 seconds.
Just ask my generative AI to whip me up a video.
Totally. So I think that rounds off the edges of its wow factor a little bit compared to when it came out. But for all of us that have lived through it, all the newness of it, it's kind of like living through all the Harry Potters. I think if you lived through them, the books, and like the craze of the books coming out and then the movies coming out 12 months later around Christmas, it was just like exciting. But now if you just like sit down and read the audio book and watch the movies, maybe it's just not quite as exciting. I don't know.
I think Star Wars represented the absolute peak of old Hollywood. Yes. Back when it really wasn't like every aspect of a movie was an art form. You know, the fact that guys like Rick Baker, who worked on the special effects, Dennis Murin, who was a big part of what became Industrial Light and Magic. You had John Williams, who did the score. You know, they were true artists. And they were inventive. There was nothing generated in a computer. So you see that first Star Destroyer, and it comes on the screen, and it's going and going and going, and then you realize that's a model. Back then, particularly in the 70s. Like when Star Wars came out, and then the first Star Trek movie came out when they redid the Enterprise. Those models, they said you could film up to an eighth of an inch away from the surface, and it remained photorealistic. Like, so the fact that they could build models out of plastic and lighting rigs and all of this stuff, and you would believe that that's an actual spaceship in space. I mean, the craftsmanship behind that is incredible. That we don't have that anymore. Yeah. Now it's how many lines of programming code can I write to make you believe that this is something real? The cantina scene in the original Star Wars movie, where you had so many animated aliens and masks representing all of these different things. Before aliens were, in movies, they would come out and they were always like on the same team, right? They always had like the same silver jumpsuit, and right? I was like they flew there, and the fact that you had that many different quote unquote species represented through special effects and makeup and all of that, it was incredible.
Yeah, Dave and I over spring break, we took our families to Orlando to Disney World and Universal Studios. My family, I mean, we didn't go to every park. I think you've been to every park over there, haven't you? So we didn't at this trip go to every park, but even going, like, we're big Harry Potter fans. Harry Potter was cool. It's super crowded. It was cool. But hands down, my family says that Star Wars was the best part of all of it, Universal or Disney World. And it's just cool. You go in there and, I mean, they got the Millennium Falcon, and they got, they got people walking around that are characters. And, we did the lightsaber experience, and it's expensive, but it was kind of cool to go in there, and the guy has a big spiel, and you like step back, and they make us feel all like you're getting your lightsaber. And we went and we did the little R2-D2 thing. I mean, the touristy stuff, and it's just fun. It's just, they really did a great job there.
Yeah. And it's the imagination piece, where that's one of those places where you really do become a kid again. You're building your own lightsaber. Like, you'll stop, you'll look at the action figures in there. You're coming out of the rides and the gift shops, and you're looking and you're like, oh, what, how did I get this on the airplane with me? You think about that kind of stuff. Curiosity. All right. Best Star Wars movie.
Nate, you go first.
What? Why me?
Because we want to hear what you have to say, and then we're going to criticize it.
Criticize it.
Yeah.
Because you're the youngest at what? 14?
Yeah. A couple years experience on that. I mean, I have to go with Revenge of the Sith because it was the one that I was able to go watch in theaters.
Huh.
And of the prequels, I think it's the most well done. Acting, script writing, music, everything. I do have a love for the original trilogy, but I got to pick Revenge of the Sith.
I think that was the best of the prequels, the three, because like
100%.
Everybody always wondered how Darth Vader became Darth Vader, and how Anakin Skywalker was going to become. I mean, and that pulled it all together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, I'm too old for that though.
What's yours?
I'm pretty confident saying that Return of the Jedi is the best. I love Return of the Jedi. It's the first one where Luke's actually a Jedi, and like that opening scene where he goes to it's not just because of Leia. That opening scene where Luke comes and he
I was waiting for that to come up. Yeah.
Where he comes and like rescues Han and all of them actually, and he's just a stud, and he just becomes the guy. Vader at the end turn in to help him. How he kills Palpatine, but Palpatine's going to come back later. I'm not sure how that works out, but I don't know.
Nobody's sure how that worked out.
That doesn't work out. Yeah. That is not part of my head canon.
No.
The Leia and that metal bikini thing. Oh man, I think I was 8 when I first saw that. Grew my first chest hair.
That got canceled for a while, didn't it? Like society wouldn't let anybody, and I think it's back now. I think we're good.
So. I think it's because she was constantly referred to as slave Leia, and
is that what it was?
I think that's problematic in today's climate.
Yeah, yes. That didn't work out today. But what about you? What do you think is the best?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
I think I think the more I've had this conversation with people when it comes to Star Wars, and everybody has an opinion on their favorite Star Wars movie, even like a casual person. Like, I remember I saw this one. You're not a super fan. It always comes down to the one you saw in the theater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's one of those cultural phenomenons that was amplified by witnessing it with, whatever time period you're in, the best presentation possible, the biggest screen possible, the best sound system possible, because that's what it was designed to be. It's spectacle. And so you're caught up in the spectacle of it. Like I said, I was blessed because I saw all 3 of the original trilogy in the theater. And for me, experiencing the spectacle of all of the original 3, I can also look at just the basic structure and the story of them. And Empire Strikes Back is just the hands down, in my opinion, the best structured movie out of all of them. And because it was so different, the cliffhanger ending. The good guys didn't win.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating, if you ever read about it, Lucas didn't direct it. He was really burnt out by the process of directing the first one. And he was busy, building companies. He was managing the licensing rights with Kenner for the figures. They were, based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And he's working with them. They had become like this massive company overnight because of Star Wars toys. He was trying to build Industrial Light and Magic into its own company at that time. And so he worked as the producer for the rest of the films, but he didn't direct Empire Strikes Back. And so he actually turned to one of his film school teachers from USC, Irvin Kershner. And Kershner brought a completely different vibe and mentality. He had a different eye. So, there's a stark difference between the cinematography of the first one and the second one. The second one's much darker in its cinematography. Kershner actually had a much better handle on like actual human interactions. So like the dialogue is better, but the way it's acted is better in the second one. But I just remember as a kid just sitting on the edge of my seat, at the end. You know, it was the first time you saw Luke Skywalker actually fight with his lightsaber. You know, he wasn't just swinging it at some floating ball.
Yep.
And from a simplistic standpoint, I think a lot of the reason that people pick Empire Strikes Back is because that's when the reveal happened, where Vader is Luke's dad. And so everybody's like, that was just like a wow moment. I mean, I remember that happening. It was just like, what?
Well, and it was a debate. It was a debate back then. We look at it now through the lens of its definitive fact. Back then, there was a lot of
there's no way.
There's no way.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones was interviewed. And this is before Return of the Jedi came out. He was interviewed, you know, saying, "Is Darth Vader really Luke's father?" And he goes, "I don't know. I think he's lying." You know, and so even the actors in on it. So like, the only people who actually knew about the line was Mark Hamill, and then James Earl Jones, who recorded it in post-production. That's not the line that was said while they were filming, because James Earl Jones wasn't the one in the costume, right? He just provided the voice. And so I think in the original filming, while they were filming the scene, David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, he was a 6'6" bodybuilder. He said, "Obi-Wan killed your father." That was the line that was spoken while they were filming. They changed it in post-production to say, "No, I am your father." And only Mark Hamill was keyed in on that. And so he reacts with the knowledge of what the real line is supposed to be versus what everybody else heard on set that day.
Yeah.
I know about that story. Some part of me wishes they had stuck with the original line of Obi-Wan killed your father. And then maybe they don't reveal that Vader is Anakin until the third. Because then when you get all the way back to the prequels and you see the interactions between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and you realize, like, okay, that actually would have been some incredible storytelling. I think it still works, obviously. But that's part of my reasoning for liking Revenge of the Sith. I think even if I had been around to watch the original trilogy in theaters, I would still pick Revenge of the Sith because it's that emotional impact of, like, man, this guy went through the worst, and that's what put him in the place of being Darth Vader. I think seeing that really is moving, and that's where the idea of Luke hating Darth Vader, or excuse me, hating Obi-Wan because he killed his father, and that emotional turmoil, to then, as the viewer, you go back and you see, oh, Obi-Wan didn't, like, in a sense, he killed Anakin because he left him to burn, and that created who Darth Vader became. But it wasn't out of malice or anger. In fact, he was broken when he did that. I think it would have been a really cool twist. But
I mean, was I the only one, though, in Revenge of the Sith, like when Anakin's like burning and, you know, Obi-Wan's like, "I loved you. You were like brothers." I'm yelling at the screen, "Put one in his head."
Yeah, I know.
Like, finish him
Put
off.
the dude down.
You know
You
what
know,
I mean?
I
But he
saw
can't.
Revenge of the Sith at a midnight showing, right? Opening day. And I'm watching it. And, to your point, Nate, is I was watching, Obi-Wan as he's riding on that giant screaming lizard. And then it cuts to Anakin killing a bunch of cartoons with his lightsaber. I thought, this really is high cinema.
yeah, well, you can't win every battle.
You speak of like the emotional thing too, and like watch him in the movie. There's a reason why Empire Strikes Back will never be even I'll say top 3 for me for Star Wars movies. And that's because it came out when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And so I still liked happy endings.
Yeah.
And like, I loved Han Solo. I loved him. And like that they ended that with Han frozen in the carbonite and, the bounty hunter taken away. I was like, this is stupid. Like, I almost like didn't watch Return of the Jedi because I was so upset. And it took me probably to adulthood sometime before like that feeling went away where it's like, okay, it's okay. I
think that's what drew me to it. And I think that's why a lot of people love it. if you usually go on, and they rank them on whatever website you go to, Empire's usually top. It's always Empire or A New Hope. And it was such a different movie than people were used to. The first one established the world visually and what you could do technically to make it come to life. The second one was when the story really hit home. And because you had that reaction, I was angry. There were so many people frustrated because they were just left hanging.
Yeah.
And, when Empire first came out, it got horrible reviews, and now it's looked back upon as an absolute masterpiece of cinema, of that sort of 1980s, late 70s spectacle. Cinema.
I think it did a really good job of illustrating that choices and actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And that's not, it wasn't very common in Hollywood back then. And it's completely gone from Hollywood now. But this idea of like the hero doesn't always win.
Mm-hmm.
It was revolutionary. And it really did set it apart. But I agree. I think it was hard for a lot of people to handle that, especially if they're invested in the characters and their story.
And if you're young, I mean, you just don't understand that.
It taught mature lessons. This is the nerdiest conversation we're ever going to have. But the thing about Empire Strikes Back is it actually taught kids important lessons that were tough lessons. Why did Luke Skywalker lose? Because he rushed off.
Yeah, he did.
Yoda told him, "You're not ready.
Not ready.
Let's not. You shouldn't go." But he didn't listen, and so he rushes off. He loses his hand, gets some bad news, and falls nearly to his death. The whole training montage, on Dagobah, where do or do not. There is no try. This idea of being decisive. Having to confront yourself and your demons and all that. Like, that was like heavy-handed stuff for me as, a 5-year-old sitting there watching, but it was so compelling.
Yeah. I would think A New Hope would probably be my favorite if it weren't for the fact that Luke Skywalker in that movie is the whiniest little bitch you've ever been around. And it's like, it's hard to even listen to him, Now I hear my kids be whiny and I'm like, that's why I hated it, because it's like, just a whiny little kid,
I loved it, except they had the fat pilot named Porkins. Like, even as a little kid, I'm like, hey, that's me.
Don't knock Porkins. Porkins is great.
Porkins.
So Porkins. I noticed we haven't even talked about the newest 3 of them. That's
and the funny thing is, so we're in Florida at Disney World, and that's the theme.
Yeah,
they're all the rides
new
are
ones
themed off of the new ones.
Yeah.
But if you paid attention, they've started to move away because they realized just how, in hindsight, unpopular the sequel trilogy is. The characters that came out wasn't the sequel trilogy characters. We saw Rey. But it was Chewbacca,
Darth Vader.
I mean, that poor guy in that black costume was out there in the Florida sun for like 8 hours taking pictures with everybody. They had the Mandalorian come out. We have our pictures with the Mandalorian, but they're starting to kind of move back towards the original trilogy characters. And I would imagine some of the ships that they have in there will be redressed as original trilogy ones. They seem to be kind of moving back. I will say, though, that Rise of the Resistance ride was amazing.
Awesome.
There.
Awesome. Worth the wait in line for sure. What's crazy to me, though, since you can have Rey being a normal girl dressed up as Rey, but where is Leia? Or
I think it was on the news that they've cast someone to be Leia.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's bikini Leia.
Okay, all right.
So,
okay. Well, I won't be going back there.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's off the table then.
You got to have Luke, though, because, I mean, Luke's like, no matter which section you're thinking of, Luke's like the central character of the entire thing. I mean,
he's the hero of the story.
Yeah. Not in the sequels, which is why a lot of people don't like him, myself included.
I agree.
I don't like him.
One reason.
I like parts of them. It was clear they had no clue what to do with the original 3.
That's true.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they never put Han, Luke, and Leia on screen together one time.
Crazy.
And then they made them all these like broken down, failed, elderly people.
Yeah.
It was like all of them, like, like nothing, all of the investment they had in the original trilogy was just completely undone in the first sequel movie. Yeah. Han and Leia split up. Luke's a hermit. They just completely undid their whole character arcs.
Luke reminded me of his hermit character and how he did all the meditation stuff, like Ace Ventura when nature calls.
Yeah, in the Ace Ventura sequel. Yeah, he's at the Buddhist place. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I'm never gonna get that out of my head.
Yes. Well, should we wrap up by going around the horn?
Yeah, let's go around the horn. What do we want to talk? What are we going around the horn for?
Let's kind of paint a picture for our listeners, because I think sometimes we forget you guys are actually listening to us.
All six of you.
Yeah, exactly. Understand that.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Hey, kids, you need to get to bed. Jeff and I are massive baseball fans, and the fact that we're friends, knowing the teams that we root for, speaks to testimony that people like us can coexist. I am a just colossal New York Yankees fan, and Jeff, you're a fan of?
I'm an obsessed Boston Red Sox fan. Yeah.
Which is curious in and of itself, because you grew up in Southwest Oregon. I grew up in Southwest Washington State, which those two areas could not be further removed from New England and the New York Island than what they are. And yet we wound up as fans of these two teams. How'd you wind up as a Red Sox fan?
Yeah. So I mean, if you live in Oregon, especially Southern Oregon, you're naturally supposed to be an Oakland A's fan, which, you got to drive about 7 hours to get to Oakland, but you're an Oakland A's fan. So I grew up in the 80s with the Bash brothers, and I had McGuire and Canseco on my wall, and that's just what we did. The heartbreak of the Dodgers and that whole World Series stuff. Anyways, but then I got into my teenage years, and the strike happened in the 94, 95 strike, and everything kind of reset in baseball. I mean, if some people, obviously, if you lived in that city or you're dedicated, you had your team. I didn't. I kind of rooted for the Braves because they were good. Oakland was always kind of terrible. Well, we came out of the strike, and the whole Sosa and McGuire stuff and everything. I had to pick a team to like. I was at that age, and the Yankees were winning everything. The Yankees had won 3 or 4 World Series. Jeter came up. He was a stud right off the bat. They had all their core. It just annoyed me. It was you're either going to love the Yankees.
Gosh, don't love winners.
or you take the anti. So I looked at the anti, which is the Red Sox, and they fit my personality. They're dirt dogs. They had beards. They're lovable losers. Oh, they're just going to lose again. And so it's all right, I'm picking the anti-Yankees, and I started following them. They just fit my personality, and I've loved them ever since. So, and I say that I'm their good luck charm, because I started rooting for them in say the late 90s. Well, it only took a few years to break the curse. So I was their good luck charm. I think I've gone the opposite direction lately for them, but it is what it is. So
it could always be worse.
It could be worse. What about you?
Well, similar story. I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, which is right in the Portland, Oregon metropolitan area. And so we're a stone's throw from Seattle. So you grew up with the expectation you root for the Mariners. The problem was, growing up in the 80s, the Mariners were awful. Just
growing up ever.
I was going to say, the Mariners were awful. You don't have to qualify that with a time period.
So it's like you grew up as a kid, and you're aware of your professional sports teams, right? So the teams I was supposed to root for were the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle Mariners, and then because I was closer to Portland than Seattle, I rooted for the Trailblazers instead of the Supersonics. Those were the hometown team. Well, the Trailblazers were riding off of their 77 championship run, and so they were still able to milk that as in their popularity. But the Seahawks were just awful. You had Jim Zorn throwing to Steve Largent, and that was about it.
No.
And then the Mariners, that they had Alvin Davis at first base and Harold Reynolds, and that was about it. And so you just get tired as a kid of rooting for losers, And so right around 10 years old, I was really getting more and more into baseball, through Little League and whatnot. And that's when I started collecting baseball cards. And This would have been around 85. And I remember getting a pack of Topps baseball cards and opening it up. And one of the first cards I found in there was an all-star card of Don Mattingly. And 85 was when he won the MVP. And so everybody knew that. And so you're a kid and you're like, I just want to root for a winner. Well, everybody knows who the New York Yankees are. They're arguably the most famous sports brand in the entire world. Mm-hmm. They're right up there. And there's just something about the uniforms, those pinstripes. They talk about that in Catch Me If You Can. Christopher Walken does that whole soliloquy about that. And there's just something about those pinstripes and the legacy where you felt like you didn't really have to explain it living in Washington why you rooted for the New York Yankees, because they're a national team versus just a local team.
Yeah.
Like if I was a Denver Broncos fan living in Seattle, I would have to explain myself.
Yeah.
Being a Yankees fan, doesn't matter where you live. Like, you walk through this town, you're going to find a bunch of Yankees fans. You're going to walk through anywhere,
There's a few franchises like that. I mean, the Dodgers are like that, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Phillies. Yeah. There's some national brands. I mean, the Yankees are the biggest brand, but yeah totally.
And so it was just an easy team to pick to root for. And then, but they were not good when I was a kid. And it wasn't until, the college years, that first 96 championship team, when they started taking off. So
what's funny about the Yankees is that everybody's like, Steinbrenner bought his championships or whatever else. The core of that late 90s Yankees team were all developed ball players. They were all guys that came up through the system. They supplemented. I mean, George Steinbrenner was great at being like, I'm going to throw money at it. But for the most part, the guys that stuck with them and carried that team were, their big four that they had, that they developed all four of those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was always kind of as Yankees fans during that dynasty, you would hear that a lot about, well, they're just buying another championship. It's like, well, no, the core four, as they were called, Mo, Jeter, Posada, and Pettit, they were developed in-house. Mm-hmm. Those weren't free agents signings. And even that first run, they didn't have a ton of free agent signings. Like Paul O'Neill was their big free agent signing. And, then they got Jimmy Key. That didn't move the needle very much.
David Cohn was a signing too.
Yeah, Dave Cohn came in, but he wasn't considered. He wasn't like a quote unquote superstar.
That's true.
It wasn't until they started signing guys like Gary Sheffield and Roger Clemens, and then a bunch of washed up all-stars like Darryl Strawberry and Canseco played for them for a little while.
And that's really when they stopped winning the championships. Yeah. Right.
They started to try to just buy the pieces that they needed. So,
and that's the brutal part as a Red Sox fan is, we wanted to win one with Nomar. And the fact you trade Nomar in the middle of that championship run in 2004.
I know.
I mean, it doesn't water it down at all for me, but it would have been nice for Nomar to be your shortstop when you won.
Nomar.
But I'll take Poppy and go from there. So,
I mean, the Sox have talk about breaking the curse. They didn't just break it; they shattered it and reestablished themselves as one of the major powers in Major League Baseball. Let's talk about the season. We're in the month of May.
Oh, we got to ask first though with Nate. Who's your favorite team, Nate?
I don't think we have to ask that question. Hey, it's not the Mariners.
That's good.
It's not the Mariners.
I follow the Rockies.
Mm-hmm. Like the mountain range.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, it's because that's the only stadium that I've been to watch live game, and that's not entirely true. I did go to see a Royals game, but I got to go watch a bunch of Rockies games, and because they got like their cheap seats are like $6 a pop, and so a college student I would go down and do that, and they put on a great show. It's always fun live. They have some really impressive fireworks because if you can't play good baseball, you got to have everything else be good. So that's why I really started
this year, right?
They're all right.
Yeah,
they're all right.
Yeah, they're not in last place.
No,
right?
they're not in last place. I don't remember last time
I think they're below 500 last time I checked. But they're that's a 1,000% increase from the last couple of years. So
yeah,
14 and 21. Oh, sorry. I haven't checked in a while.
Really great. I thought it was 18, but
they got the same record as my Red Sox. So,
oh, perfect. Yeah. So we're on equal footing.
So there's
do they still have that guy with cerebral palsy starting at third base?
See, and this is why.
I mean, it's great that they have that whole Make-A-Wish thing going on for them, but
Well, and you brought up the season, right? So,
Yeah.
it's kind of been an interesting season because everybody's like the Dodgers are going to win everything. Well, the Dodgers don't have the best record in baseball. In fact, they don't even have the third best record in baseball. And if you watch the Dodgers, their pitching's been excellent. Their offense has not been great. And Mookie Betts is hurt. Shohei's been fine, but not excellent because he's pitching and hitting, which makes his WAR incredible. But it also makes him, and his pitching's been lights out. But on the flip side, his batting just hasn't been quite as good, which he has a high bar to go to. Yankees, I think, have a better record. They do a better record than them. Atlanta has a better record than them. So, Atlanta's 25 and 10. And they had all those injuries to their
Acuna just went down. So the 1 month into the season, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the disparity between the National League and the American League.
Crazy.
National League is like the whole National League Central right now. Like that is the best division in the sport.
Yeah.
The Pirates are in last place at 19 and 16, if I remember right. And they would be the division leader in 2 out of the 3 American League divisions. And they're in last place, 3.5 games out from first place with the Cubs. The National League is just blown out of the water. The American League, the only 2 teams that in any way have distinguished themselves is the Yankees and the Rays. As a Yankees fan, I'm ecstatic, but I'm also constantly pressured because we just cannot pull away from the Rays. As good as the Yankees are right now, the Rays are just right on our heels.
They really are. Yeah, and they're a surprise team. I mean, and it proves that if you can pitch, you can win. You don't need to score a lot of runs if you don't give up a lot of runs. And pitching and defense wins championships. It isn't sexy, and it's where they say chicks love the long ball. But if you can pitch and you can play defense, all you got to do is scratch out a couple runs, and you're going to win. I think the Rays, the last time I checked, that a negative run differential still. Yeah. I mean, they're +7 now. The Yankees are +65.
Yeah, they have
even +7 is incredible.
It's just
the Yankees have the second best run differential in the league behind Atlanta.
There's only 4 teams in the American League that have a plus run differential. The Yankees at +65, Tampa at +7, Seattle at +2, and Detroit at +18. Everybody else has a negative run differential. I mean, that's a bad league.
Yeah, I mean, but to be that close to a negative or close to 0 and to still be doing what they're doing.
That's runs, pitching and defense.
It is.
You just got to scratch it out. You know, I mean,
and it makes for really ugly games, but
boring to watch. Completely boring to watch.
Yeah.
Top player out of the season so far.
Top player. That's a great question. I didn't really think about that, but I mean, Shohei's probably still the best player. I mean, that's kind of the easy answer, I think. The A's guys are always good.
You're not throwing any Red Sox names at me.
No.
See where his true loyalties lie.
Start to the season. That starts this season. Ben Rice has to be on that discussion.
Yeah, I got to go Ben Rice. As a Yankees fan, the fun thing about watching him really break out right now is I have this hope that he sort of reestablishes the first base for the Yankees as a legacy position. Because, growing up, the first baseman of the Yankees was always like a perennial MVP candidate. You had Mattingly, and then you had Tino Martinez, and then Jason Giambi, and then Mark Teixeira, and every one of them had, if not an MVP, then a top 5 MVP finish at one point while playing first base for the Yankees. And then after Teixeira hung it up, kind of like fell off. And so to see Rice come out, it kind of harkens back to when that was one of their premier positions where you had a guy who was arguably one of the best players in the game playing that position for him. So
the hardest part about baseball is that, you really play 3 seasons in baseball, or 4 seasons of baseball. You play the first 2 months to figure out who you are. The second 2 months to adjust to that. And the third 2 months is to really make a push for the playoffs. Then you have the playoffs. So, you really can't glean much from April. If April decided much, the Dodgers would have won like 10 of the last 12 World Series. Guys get hurt, underperformance, overperformance. The things warm up. When the weather warms up, everybody that from the Dominican and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, they get better. It's just natural. And so it's just time. The biggest thing you don't want to do, Red Sox, is dig too big of a hole in April and get so far behind that all you're doing is spending all summer trying to catch up. But it's a time thing, and it's fun. I like May and June. I think that's the fun time. The dog days of summer aren't as fun in baseball because you can tell the baseball players don't care as much either. But they still have some care in them right now, and so it's fun.
Yeah, I think the grind of the sport is what differentiates it from something like football. Every weekend in football, that game feels like it's a make or break moment for the season. Where you go to baseball and it's like, it's great being one of the top 10 teams coming out.
I'll get a redo.
Yeah, everybody goes on a downturn at some point. Because baseball it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, and unless you're the Mets. They're just terrible. As a Yankees fan, I am just having a great first 6 weeks of this season, just watching the Red Sox and the Mets just
fighting
flounder.
for the bottom. Yeah. I will say one name I did not bring up, and mostly because I just watched him be terrible against the Red Sox for 3 games, so that kind of waters it down a little bit. But Yordan Alvarez is having just an incredible year. The guy's just on a different level. I mean, he went 1 for 16 in the series with the Red Sox, and he's still batting like .337.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just a stud. He's just a stud.
Yeah, and going back to the Ohtani thing as well. Now that Ohtani's pitching again, I see more value in him. It's always a struggle for me to see a guy who doesn't have a defensive position. He brings 0 defensive value to his team whatsoever. So a DH like Alvarez. It's phenomenal what he does at the plate, but then he just sits down on the bench the rest of the game.
So true. I agree with that.
Yeah. And so I think that's why, historically in my mindset, it's always hard to give an MVP to a pure DH, even though Ohtani's getting it, because they're missing out on large chunks of the game. They don't impact it. On the other side of it.
I said it last year, and it's kudos. I love Aaron Judge. I hate to say it, but I love Aaron Judge. He's just a good dude. He's hard to dislike. Outside of the one time in 2018 where he walked down the playoffs playing New York, and then we destroyed New York after that, so it made up for it. But outside of that, he's just a good dude. He's likable. Yeah. He's I think a good quiet leader. But the biggest thing with an MVP, and he's won a couple now, is last year, when he got hurt, the Yankees sucked. They were terrible. They couldn't get out of their own way. He came back, and they were winning again. And it's like when one player makes that much difference, not just their stat line, but makes difference to the whole clubhouse, to everybody that's bad, everybody that's playing, that's an MVP caliber player. That's what the Red Sox are missing right now. We don't got a guy. We don't got that guy. We don't have Big Papi. We don't have Manny. We don't have even Nomar. Going back to the guys like that, Mookie Betts. We don't have a guy where all the young guys look and are like, all right, he's still doing his job, and he's the guy. So I got to work my butt off and make sure that it takes some pressure off of me because he's the guy that everybody's looking at. But also, I want to live up to that. We don't have that, and a lot of teams don't have that. And so that's why an Aaron Judge or maybe a Shohei. I don't know if Shohei's that guy necessarily in their clubhouse. I think that Mookie was kind of that guy, and they have different guys that have been that guy. Justin Turner was for a long time for the Dodgers. So you need a guy. You need that guy that is just the one that all the reporters go to him. And that's the guy that after the game, when it's bad, he's going to talk. When it's good, he's going to deflect to the other guys. And that's just the way it's going to be.
And that's usually your team captain, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's why baseball traditionally has that position. And I think it probably has a little bit more weight historically in baseball than it does other sports, because he's just going to get number one, he has 81 home games. He's going to be talking to his home stadium and the news crew there about what's happening with the team and all of this stuff. So he's going to get way more FaceTime than other team captains in other sports. But then, there is something historic about, there's always that player that is the engine that pulls the rest of the team along with them. And if you don't have that, then it's just...
You're floundering.
You flounder.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have that person that can sort of, through sheer tyranny of will, get everybody else up and going.
And that's what I think the Mets thought they were buying in Juan Soto. And Juan Soto hasn't been that guy.
He's never been that guy.
He's just not. He's just not.
Been that guy.
He's a good ball player. He's a good second piece because he's just got that attitude. But he's just not that guy. He says stupid stuff. He's got kind of an edge. I don't know that he loves like the teammate environment. I'm not sure that he just wants to be like around the guys. He wants to play baseball and then he wants to go home, I think, And I mean, he's just not the guy the Mets thought they were buying. Thank God the Red Sox were in on that, because if we had this team and $80 million a year to Juan Soto, that would be kind of a nightmare right now,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Cool. Well, we're going to wrap up. We are, pre-recording and post-recording. We're like 2 hours in. So that's
just about.
Yeah. So, but we will be back. We're going to do Mondays. We're going to record. We'll probably get into a groove where we'll post on Mondays. Once a week for now. We're going to hopefully evolve into 2 times a week. We're going to get our socials set up. We're also going to have a video version on YouTube that you'll be able to watch. Look for us on MySpace, because that's where we'll be. We're doing MySpace. So,
MySpace. You can find us on Yahoo News.
Is it Yahoo or Yahoo?
I don't know. It depends on which region you're from.
Yeah. Soda and pop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for sticking around with us till the end, if you did. And make sure you look for us. Follow us on. We'll be on. What are we going to be on? We're going to be on Apple Pods and Spotify for sure,
and YouTube eventually.
So,
and of course, MySpace.
Follow us along. Next episode, we'll have our stuff together and tell you how to find us. So, thanks again, and we'll see you next week.